What's up, everybody? Alex here. 10 illustrated album covers. This is for Rob Walker, Let the Music Play. This is a thread he started. My caveat with this one is this is 10 illustrated covers, PROG edition. So if you don't like PROG, I'm sorry. But the covers are cool. I mean, that's kind of part of it, right? They're cool. So I do have my computer open here. I'll let you know that just because I want to make sure I get the illustrators right or the artwork people correct. Some of these are very obvious. You've probably seen them a ton. Others, not so much. It's important to me to make sure that we're recognizing who the artists are. So we got 10 of them. I'm going to go chronologically. Earliest one is 1971. Latest one was released this year. So let's dive right into it. We'll go back to 1971 with a Canterbury band over in England. This is Caravan in the Land of Grey and Pink. Very Tolkien influenced, as you can very much tell. Illustrator here was Anne Marie Anderson. And just awesome. I love the colors and sort of, if you could vary like the not so matte, but just awesome cover out there, and a great band and a great record. Next, also from 1971, there are times that this is my favorite Genesis record, but without a doubt, this is my favorite Genesis album cover. It's from the great, or illustrated by the great Paul Whitehead, who did a lot with Genesis. This is Nursery Crime. Sort of the first of the big four that they released, depending on if you count Trespass or not. But of the Magic Four, of like the Peter Gabriel era stuff, this is where it all sort of began. So pretty creepy, as you can tell. First of all, it's called Nursery Crime, which is kind of creepy in itself. But then we have this fun person who is playing croquet, it appears, with heads. Yeah. It's creepy. I love it. Even the back I love too. Just a lot of these kind of creepy statues and different things sort of happening. So Paul Whitehead, Genesis, Nursery Crime. Next one's a bit of an obvious one. You could go anywhere with Roger Dean. His stuff's everywhere. It's all brilliant. And you can't really talk about PROG album covers without talking about Roger Dean. This is a bit of a polarizing record, but to me, it's my absolute favorite piece of art that he ever did. Of course, I'm talking about, yes, Tales from Topographic Oceans. Of course, these were also cool back when you had the gatefolds that were meant to be sort of folded out as a continuance of the art itself. Yeah. Just awesome. So, Tales from Topographic Oceans, my favorite. My favorite artwork, of course. This one's a bit of a funny one. I laugh at this every time I see it. I think this is almost like a half joke. I love this band a lot, and they really don't get talked enough about, in my opinion. Maybe because the name of the band is Camel, and all their artwork has freaking camels on it, and you're like, how do we make a badass camel? Can we make a badass camel? I don't know that we can, but we're going to try. This is Mirage by Camel. This is the U.S., or maybe, I think it was just the U.S., because I think Canada had the original Mirage artwork that was released in Europe or the U.K. originally, so this might be U.S. only, but I could totally be wrong. But yeah, this is Mirage, arguably their best record, depends who you talk to. There are a lot of people who will say that this is their best. I do love this record. But again, you have a camel. Is it a war camel? Is it, what is he doing? You got like is that a shiny tooth? You don't really know what's going on here. Also, this artwork was not necessarily an individual illustrator. Not a lot of research there. Modula. I'm guessing that was maybe the art firm or company or whatever it was that was working with them at the time. I don't even know if this is, I don't know what this is. There are times that this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, and other times I'm like, bro, that's one dumb looking camel. So, I don't know, you let me know. Is this cool, or is that one dumb looking camel? Or are they the same? Could be both. Let's roll up to 1975. This is a band that started kind of in that Canterbury scene, like Caravan earlier. They started as psychedelic pop. Went into some kind of weird avant-garde free jazzy type stuff, which I do like, but it's a little bit inaccessible. But by the time they hit the mid-70s, they had a couple of records that were just full-on great jazz fusion. I am talking about Soft Machine and their album Bundles from 1975. This, of course, features the amazing and spectacular Alan Holdsworth on guitar. If you're a jazz fusion fan, this is a must. This is just absolutely perfect. But just an awesome, awesome painting. This is by a English painter named Reg Cartwright, and the actual name of this painting is The Pigeon Fancier in the Park, which I guess you can kind of tell because it's a fancy pigeon in the park. But yeah, Bundles, Soft Machine, 1975. I will say this was never actually released in the US, so if you want a copy of this on vinyl, you have to get an import or UK version, which this is. But this is just an outstanding, outstanding jazz fusion record. So there's that. I'll cheat a little bit here. This is not what people would call a prog band. However, you would argue that they had progressive elements and certainly no more proggier or even jazzier than they were during this time in their career. It's my favorite sort of era of the band. And this is my favorite artwork from the band. I am talking about the Grateful Dead. And of course, I'm talking about Blues for Allah. Just awesome. I mean, how awesome is that? The name of this artwork is called The Fiddler by Philip Garris. And just everything from sort of obviously the font there, the color scheme, just everything, and obviously the fiddler and just how creepy but awesome. I love this, and I love this record too. So yeah, it's like maybe like the third era that we would talk about when it comes to the Grateful Dead. They changed up their sound so much, but this is my favorite area. This and like the Mars Hotel I love the most, but I just love that cover so much. Awesome. Let's jump up to the 80s. Let's get some neo-prog in here. Shout out to Steve over at All the World's a Stage. When he was responding to this thread, he referenced their first record, Script for a Jester's Tear. I'm going to reference their second one. It's the same artist, Mark Wilkinson. Of course, I'm talking about Marillion and their album Fugazi. And whether or not you know this band or not, I mean, this this record or this cover and sort of the man on the front there who is all strung out kind of represents a little bit about what this album is about, and also kind of represents Fish, the singer at the time, what he was going through. But a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of different detail outside of just the person on the bed, obviously spilling out the drink. You got the clown in the corner. You got the lizard that always seems to make an appearance. Even the back has some pretty cool Easter eggs going on as well. If you're not familiar with Marillion, a great 80s sort of neo-prog band, their first 4 records with Fish are just absolutely outstanding. And a lot of the stuff they did later with Steve Hogarth is also amazing. One of my favorite Marillion songs of all time is off of this record. It's called Jigsaw. So if you're not familiar with Marillion, you want to dip your toes in, stream Jigsaw, let me know what you think. But yeah, awesome cover and just a great record as well here. We'll jump up to the mid-2000s at this point. The next two are both by artist and designer Hugh Syme. Hugh Syme really came into prominence as sort of the lead art direction guy for Rush. And so I could have grabbed any of those Rush records, Farewell to Kings or Hemispheres or, of course, Moving Pictures. But some of those felt like they were more pictures, not illustrations. Does that make sense? Either way, I love those records and I love the art. But the other huge partnership in the prog world that Hugh Syme had was for a number of different art illustrations, of course, with Dream Theater. And there's a number that you can pick, but I think my favorite, maybe because I love the album so much, but it's also just, it sums up perfectly what's inside, and I'm talking about Octavarium. Again, sort of the gatefold continuance. Octavarium as a record is very, very conceptual and kind of centers on this concept of 8 and how the story begins, where it ends, and it's very sort of conceptual in that way, and so the art sort of depicts that as well, which is just awesome. I love this. Along the same lines, also Hugh Sign, but I wanted to give a shout out to this band. This is a band, I don't know where they're going to go from here because it was a super group side project that was formed. So each of these people are already involved in a lot of other bands. But the band itself is Flying Colors. They released 3 records. This is for people who like prog music, but also who like a nice, strong sense of commercialism, pop accessibility. It's more about the song and the melodies, and then all this sort of widdly stuff, and the complexities come later. That band, again, is Flying Colors. This is their second record called Second Nature, released in 2014. If you're a progressive rock nerd and curious on who's in this band, here is the band itself. Far right, this side here, you have Dave LaRue on bass. Of course, Dave LaRue has played in a lot of different projects, but might be most known for playing with the Dixie Dregs. Here you have Mike Portnoy, who actually was left Dream Theater, who I just showed, and this is one of the projects that he formed, and he's played with everybody. Neil Morris, who's mostly known for being sort of the original founder and leader of Spock's Beard, 90s progressive rock band. I'll jump on this side all the way over here. Here's Steve Morse. Of course, Dixie Dregs, great solo career. Had a little bit of time in Kansas, but was really known at this time of being the guitarist in Deep Purple, sort of the replacement to Richie Blackmore. He has since had to leave that band as well. And then here's sort of the secret weapon, almost like the unknown person, Casey McPherson. He's the singer and rhythm guitarist. He's the person that sort of adds a lot of that accessibility, a lot of that kind of pop commercialism to the music. So again, if you want something a little bit different and you want to dip your toes into something different, cannot recommend this album enough, or this band enough. Again, they have 3 records and they're all amazing, but this is my favorite and I love that cover art too. Second Nature. Last and not least, this is a record that was just released this year. The artist here, this was like completely free, or not free drawn, but this was completely drawn, illustrated. Artist's name is Dan Goldsworthy, from a current progressive hard rock, progressive metal-ish, if you want to call him that, but there's a lot involved. But this has sort of become the premier progressive rock band of 2023, I feel like, and that's Haken, and their most recent record, Fauna. The detail here is just crazy. Crazy. Give like a full look at everything here, everything to the elephant there. Of course, this record itself has a lot of different sort of animal themes going on. Of course, inside gatefold as well. Carries on a lot of that art. But yeah, this just came out earlier this year. This is Fauna by Haken. And in terms of album art goes, this is one of my absolute favorites for sure. Cool. Well, hey, there you go. I hope I did okay for you there, Rob. Again, that's Rob Walker. Let the music play. Thanks for getting this going, and thanks for lending me ideas. As a new channel, you're always looking for new ideas, and threads are a perfect way to still jump into the community and go from there. I know I forgot a ton. You can't name all of them, but I think I got a good mix here of some of the earlier stuff and some of the more modern stuff. So let me know if you got any that I missed or any that you want to comment on, and would love to hear what you all think in terms of some of these illustrated album art works in the prog world. So I appreciate y'all watching. Take care, and we'll see y'all soon. Cheers.